Hi, and welcome to Chaos, Coffee and Clarity. If you're somebody that feels like business and life and health get a little bit chaotic, then this is the place to be. So I'm just going to grab myself a coffee from good old 7-Eleven next door, which I don't actually mind. Um, if you're happy, go grab yourself a coffee and let's spend a few minutes trying to make sense of the world. Each week we'll be kind of exploring different things for health, business, and basically trying to challenge what we think about things and how our assumptions can kind of keep us stuck. But also, if we connect the dots and answer questions and ask questions that we haven't really asked of ourselves before, we might actually get some clarity. And clarity, of course, is what helps us move forward. So the missing piece is basically the theme of this podcast, because we tend to have ourselves in a state of we're doing things, everything gets great. We stop doing things fall apart a little bit, but we never really have a thing that is just a consistency in life. There's something that just keeps us going and keeps us on the right track. So if you can see my hair today, it's actually out for a change. I washed it and curled it and did whatever I needed to do with it yesterday. And it looked great. Well, for me, it looked great. And then, today it's looking a bit blank and a bit kind of like the. My hair's quite long, and I'm a really bad hair carer. I get my hair cut once a year on my birthday because then I remember to do it. But at least it's a good way for me to remind myself. And because I had cancer a few years ago and I lost my hair, I've just left it long because I can and I've got it. So why not before I get too old and I have to cut it? So it kind of sits like this. But it kind of reminded me when I was going to get this coffee next door was what is it that we do differently, the hairdressers do differently? We go to a hairdresser, they look at our hair, they kind of go, yeah, you need this and you need that. And we come out and we look amazing. So whenever I go to a hairdresser now, I've got really quite thick hair. It's got lots of different textures to it. It's got quite a lot of kink in it. And when I was younger, in our younger days, I would go in and say, I want this style. And my hairdresser would go, no, your hair's not going to sit like that because it's not going to sit this way. And so I've gotten used to going into a hairdresser if I go to a new one now and say, look, my hair does its own thing sometimes. What do you think is going to suit? What do you think I can do with this? Rather than going in with a predisposed, I want this, I want a pixie, I want a bob, I want what have you. And that's what we really tend to do in business. We tend to think, I want our business to be like this and I want it to be like that. But we don't follow through with how we as a person react. How do we manage ourselves? Are we able to do what it is that prepares us to do this? So, we go into a hairdresser, they spend depends what you're doing, but I mean, it's usually an hour, maybe up to 4 if you're getting colours done. And they know exactly what they're doing. They know what colour to use, what brand to use, what they need to do. They have their drying technique. They use their scissors. They're constantly rearranging things. And we see and we walk out with this amazing haircut that kind of makes us feel amazing. We can, I don't know about you guys, but I generally feel a bit lighter. It feels like I can feel every single hair on my head has been touched in some format. And we go away and it's like, wow. And then we wake up the next day and think, oh God, what's happened? How can we not do it ourselves? So they're the same, they can see everything behind it. We go in, we wash our hair, we want to dry it, but we've kind of forgotten about all the techniques and the steps and whatever it is, the timing of things, how much experience it has. For those of you that have got long hair and if it's heavy, it doesn't matter what you do, it's always going to feel heavy on the top. So if it looks amazing, it's going to fall. Those of you who've got short hair and it kind of does its own thing, we can maybe style it in a way and then it's going to go its own way. The same thing's to be said with business and health and life. We kind of have a way that we want to look at things. We have what we want to achieve, and then however we operate day to day or whatever our body's doing day to day, if we're trying to make it do something and it's not natural to us, it's not kind of wanting to go that way, we're going to struggle and we're going to end up in a little bit of a fight. So if we're looking at the business, we kind of assume, okay, we want to grow. And in our mind, we might just say, I just really like that hairstyle. I think it'd look amazing. It'll make me feel whatever. I just want to change. And in a business analogy, we need to look better. We're just going to change the website. We're going to redo it. We're going to make it look amazing. But then what has that achieved? Are we updating that website daily? Are we doing what we need to do? Are we doing everything behind it? I just need social media. I just need Facebook ads. I just need AI to do this for me. How do we then kind of gather all that fountain of knowledge of 5 or 6 or 7 other things that kind of need to happen to make that hairstyle look great? So to get the hairstyle that we want, we have to have the right cut. We have to have the right layers. We have to have the right color. We have to have the right highlights. It has to be blow dried in a certain way. So, sometimes they'll blow dry it really high and sometimes they'll blow dry it this way, but it all amounts up to us getting that amazing haircut. Now, if we're putting that into business and we're looking at, okay, I've got the website, that's one page, so that might be the wash. Then we've got, this offer, that might be the actual cut. Then we've got something else, so we need to do Facebook ads or social media, and that might be kind of the coloring and everything else that we put onto it, all in the end to give us this business and this presentation to the public. Now, if it looks amazing, that's great, but then we need to also maintain it. We've got this has happened, this has gone ahead. How do we then keep up that appearance? And what many of us do is we kind of go, great, we've got this, and we forget about it. And we kind of just go, but it looks amazing. And it's like, well, yes, but how many people are seeing it? It's like having a haircut and then staying in the house and never using it. We might then decide to go out, but it's not quite the same way as it was before because we haven't been able to maintain it. We haven't seen the underside of that, the kind of consultation that was required, the planning, the actual person in the hairdresser actually looking at our face, at how it sits. Do we look better with short hair, long hair? Do we look better, darker color, lighter color? All the hair highlights or grays or anything else that's going on, they look at us and they go, da, 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 da. There you go. Because that's what they're doing. We're paying them for their expertise. And business is identical. Most of us say, oh God, I'm hopeless at this. I'm not cut out for this. I don't understand why it's working. But business isn't hard because you're not capable. Business is hard because it takes time to look at things and actually realize there's lots and lots of different processes in it. And sometimes we're just caught around the wheel of one of those processes, but it's only one part in a whole link of different processes as to why things don't work. So we're trying to create this massive end result that looks amazing and people are going to notice, but we've kind of missed a couple of the key things around the way. So people copy tactics. I know when I first started and we were one of the few in the area that offered certain services, it was, come and we'll address the problem. We'll address what's causing the problem, the underlying issues that are causing you. So we'll look at outside the box. And now that's what, everybody uses that. So no one stands out anymore. Nobody, everybody has kind of used, let's make, summer bodies start in winter. We have to get that kind of marketing, and nothing's unique anymore. And the same happens in business. What we look at is, oh my God, that's a fabulous website. Or maybe I should copy that. Oh, I like that logo. I like this thing. They're doing this. They're doing amazing. We'll take bits of that. But we're not copying the actual context. We're not copying it in the context of how it is. So, somebody might have a brand that looks amazing, but then it's also got to fit your brand. When I first started, we had this amazing brand and it looked amazing and it was nice. And it had, people on a reformer and it had bits and bobs because I do clinical rehab Pilates as a kind of physio side. But it took me a couple of years to actually hear from people that it was a bit too intimidating for them. It looked a bit too professional. It looked a bit too clean cut. It looked a bit, they were actually intimidated about coming in, which I was quite surprised about. But when I looked at our website, I could understand that, I'd actually chosen people on reformers. I'd chosen what have you, and it looked lovely. But normal Joe Blob people didn't feel it was for them. So you have to listen to some of the feedback that you're getting as well. And it also, it goes the same if you're going to a hairdresser and you walk in and that lady or man or whoever it is that's looking after you, their hair is a mess and it's pulled back and you kind of go, they can't even look after their own hair. Why would I let them look after mine? You want somebody, or you go into somewhere where everyone's really trendy, they've got all the different colors, they've got all these unique haircuts and you think, shit, I just want something something that's normal Joe Blog, and that's not for me at all. So we have our preconceived ideas, and it's important to look at that when you are creating what you want for your business. And one thing I've learned over the years, having worked with few different business people, is there is no one cookie cutter idea that works. You have to gel with what you want. You have to be comfortable with what you feel you need for your business and how you want to run your business. There's no point kind of being there with this great big rainbow of color in your hair, which is going to attract attention. If you're somebody who's very quiet and you don't like attention, you're going to want something that's going to blend in, but it's still looking professional. So that kind of analogy kind of works. The other thing is that we might see something and think that's fabulous. We'll just copy that. But they might have a different audience to you. They might have different resources to you. They might be aiming it at someone different. In the physio world, there's people who attract sports. There's people who attract more the middle-aged, broken, chronic disease, the youngsters, pediatrics. So the market of all these, even though they're still physio, is going to be different. And the same thing with hairdressers. The young, trendy trendsetters are going to have a completely different marketing and pictures in their window to somebody who just wants everyday Joe Blogs, mum and dad, who just need a haircut, but they want something smart and they still want the service, but they don't need the way out. This is going to be, trend-setting style of haircut. So we tend to get a little bit angsty if we need to change something. If our business is down, if our sales are down, if we're not attracting the right clients, it's important we take a step back and look and say, who is our market? Who are we trying to attract? If we're trying to attract, the old grannies who just want, their blue rinse or their purple rinse, and they just want to come in and get pampered, maybe get their nails done at the same time, you're not going to have pictures of those who are, with the spiky trends, the way off colours, the kind of really short bobs or, pixie cuts, because you're not going to get that market. So we need to, and a lot of us do underestimate the complexity of what goes on behind the scenes. So I'll just build a website, I'll just start a podcast, I'll just post every day. You really want to be critical and analytical about what that actually means. Are we posting to the right people? The reason experts seem expensive, and the reason we're looking at investment as part of looking for somebody to build a business coaching business with or, work with, is because that path and that learning curve is quicker. I box dye my hair, but it's because I don't really care. I just want to, get rid of a few grey in the roots. I'm not too bothered. I tie it up every day. However, if I was in a job that I needed my hair cut short and I had a shortcut, I would need to go every 4 to 6 weeks. So my time and my investment of my hair suits my lifestyle. I can do my hair and kind of, pull it back. I can box dye it at home. I can tie it back. However, if I went for a more professional cut, I would need to think about the maintenance of that. I would need to think I'd need to get it cut every 4 to 6 weeks. Then I'd need to be a bit more precise about how I colour it if I choose to colour it. And that's the bit that we forget, the missing piece of how much effort do I need to put into this? To make this look amazing, to make my hair look amazing, and to do this, how much effort and time is that going to take? Am I prepared to do that on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis? And this is where kind of the clarification and making everything less chaotic comes into play. The reason that you're paying for that service is they're shortening the path. I'm paying for the hairdresser to make my hair look amazing because I can't make it look that good myself, no matter how many times I try, no matter how many videos I watch. It never looks that way because it just doesn't work. The health version of that would be, a neighbour teaches you a new knee exercise because it worked for them after they had their knee replaced, but it might not be the same knee exercise you need. You might have a knee problem that's a mouth tracking problem as opposed to a knee problem that's a weak problem. So the exercises you need for that are going to be different. And that's the same in business. You might not have a problem with the amount of people coming into your website and the people seeing you, but what you have is a conversion problem. They're seeing you, but they don't convert because Is there a call to action in there? Is there a reason for them to be there? Are they just go, that's a really nice website, that looks interesting, but there's nothing for them to take that next step? And that's what happens when you work with a business coach. They actually are helping you do that. You're not kind of copying what other people have done. You're looking at a critical eye in what you're doing. So what's the best exercise? And it's like, well, what's the best exercise for what? What's the best haircut? What's the best haircut for what? Your face shape, your features, what is it you want to achieve? Do you want something that's low maintenance, something that's high maintenance? And the closing kind of arguments with all that is it's also then got to suit you, and it's also got to suit you and what you offer. It's also got to suit you and your brand, and it's also got to speak to the people that you want to attract and speak to the people that you want as clients. So hairdressers, physios, business coaches, they're not just selling you, this is us, but what you're getting is years of experience. You're getting years of knowledge, so they can zoom in on that quickly and get you where you want to be and give you the tips and everything around that help you. That's the same in health. It's the same in business. It's the same in kind of beauty. People have the expertise and the training to get all those little things that are valid for whatever we want. So what they're looking at is you as a whole. Does this haircut suit you? How much maintenance do you prepared? And that's what a good hairdresser will ask you. Okay, what is it you're after? What kind of look you're after? This is not going to suit your face. This will suit your face better. This is going to take you 5 minutes in the morning. This is going to take you 55 minutes in the morning. How much time have you got to throw at it? And that's also the same kind of in business. So if something like that resonates with you, and I hope something did, then, have a think about how you're running things for you. What is it that's your problem? Have you looked at it from all angles? Is there something going on behind the scenes that you really should look at more? Is there something that you need help with, or can you fiddle it out yourself? Are you able to, manage all those different things and kind of plod on, but you're still moving forward? Or do you want to get to that place quicker? And that's kind of the difference between what happens when you have somebody on your side and somebody who's helping you. So if you enjoyed that episode, please feel free to join me next week. I am a coffee addict, so we'll generally have a coffee in hand, so that will remind me to make the podcast. And if you know that you're feeling stuck and you're a little bit overwhelmed, then there is ways that we can help you. So if you want to pop on our website, it's www.sareehewlett.com/missing piece. I'll give you some of the information that's there. Otherwise, it'll be at the end of this episode. And I hope we can speak to you soon, and hoping that you gain some clarity out of the chaos that is business and life.